The founder, whose arrest created a stir among India's entrepreneurs, says despite his 28-day jail time, he is an entrepreneur forever. Yogendra Vasupal, or Yogi as he's known, is the Chennai-based entrepreneur who set up the homestay booking platform Stayzilla in 2010, I beg your pardon, along with co-founder Sachit Singhi on the lines of AirBnb. It raised $34 million before hitting turbulence and eventually announcing a halt in operations, a reboot as he called it, and laying off a few hundred people in February this year. He went to jail then on charges of fraud and criminal embezzlement, among other things, for allegedly failing to pay a vendor some 1.7 odd crores, an arrest that saw 1,000 founders, including Paytm's Vijay, Shekhar, Sharma and Ola's Bhavish, Agarwal, write to the Home Minister in protest. I spoke earlier to Yogendra Vasupal, of course began by asking him about that jail time and how he had recovered.
It was 30 days. I got the bail in 28, but it took 2 more days to actually get me out of jail. So I spent a month there, but I aged a year because I spent my birthday there. And I think experience-wise, I probably got a decade more.
Right. You spent in all that 30-day jail time for not paying one of your suppliers, Jigsaw Advertising. They've accused you of some very serious charges there, cheating and fraud among them, of not paying them, not communicating with them as well.
Sure, show it. I mean, I've been pretty open in terms of giving out the proofs. They've neither showed it in the court, right, and they've neither presented it to public. They've just been throwing accusations and misrepresenting things. We have raised 83 crores. We have paid, in fact, over 50 crores to vendors since January of 2016. And so why is it that we did not settle these Aditya's dues? In fact, we have paid money for campaigns that we conducted after January, February, March. We have just not paid, we have withheld payment for campaigns that were done by Jigsaw during the December-January time frame, because the proof of delivery, see, whenever we do a campaign with any media agencies, when you purchase a hoarding in 20 cities, when you purchase hundreds of hoardings in 20 cities for 45 days time, there is a particular standard and format in which the proof of deliveries are sent. They take a picture on the start day and send it on the same day it's taken. They take a picture of it in the end date and the same day it's taken. In fact, we can also ask them for random pictures on in between intermediary days. Now, all the proof of delivery that came to us came after the campaign ended. Okay. And in fact, in the media kit that the Jigsaw so conveniently and helpfully provided to all press folks, those pictures are there. You can take a look at the picture and send it to your design team. They should be able to validate that a lot of those pictures are either clearly photoshopped or being taken on the same day.
Okay, this of course now for the police to investigate and decide just where the truth lies. They of course have the other side. But for all the support you got, Yogi, many asked if startups can really shut shop and leave and people, have their money hanging. Who's going to take responsibility if businesses shut down almost overnight, founders cut their losses and run? You can pivot, but you have to clear your dues.
So I say that is a fair ask. Nobody is telling that's an unfair ask. Nobody is denying the right of justice of people in these cases. As a company, we have assets. As a company, we also have people who owe us money. Shouldn't there be a right process for it instead of hauling people from the roads and put into jail, and then it is nothing but legally getting kidnapped and then asking for ransom? Right? How do civilized nations do it? How do they do it? It is not left for some police in Thana or the complainant to decide if it is civil or criminal. You go to the bankruptcy court. In India, I can't go to the bankruptcy court. One of the person to whom I owe dues needs to take me to the bankruptcy court, and the matter needs to be decided there. And in terms of liquidation of the company, they have complete right.
I think that what brings to focus again is just how shutting a business in India is a challenge, ease of doing business and what we need to do on that. And, this is a time period for India's entrepreneurs where many are struggling. There are serious challenges there. What has your experience taught you that could perhaps benefit others out there, Yogi?
So I'll tell you something. See, I am from the startup ecosystem, and I matured there as a businessman, and I thought that's all there was to it. But after going to prison, I've seen that this is not something that's a problem only for startups. It's a problem for any businessman, any trader, any entrepreneur, whether they're funded, not funded. See, startup ecosystem is the only ecosystem currently where political influence or political linkages are very minimal. In every other business, if you have to grow beyond a particular point, you need it. You have no other option but to gain political patronage somewhere or become a politician yourself. That's the truth in India. At least the startup ecosystem was relatively cleaner than others, and the first thing that we need to do is ensure that that stays clean. The second thing we need to do is ensure that we get a clear directive, whether it comes from the Supreme Court, central government, whether we require to sit down and change the constitution, whatever it is required to differentiate between civil and criminal. And it's not for startups alone. It will benefit startups, but it will benefit every sort of businessman.
Right, you're saying that is still grey, and that civil and criminal and what the charges should have been is still out there. Though, of course, the other side says that they didn't decide just what charges to go with. Their legal team suggested that. But you also had huge support. India's top founders, from Vijay, Shekhar, Sharma of Paytm to Bhavish Agarwal of Ola, they were all out writing and speaking in your favour. How did that make you feel?
I didn't know about all of these things when I was inside. When I got out, I mean, I felt humbled, because they put faith in me without having the complete details. They just knew that I was halt. They felt it was wrong. They knew that was wrong. It was a civil case no matter what. And but they didn't know how right with the strengths of our case. The fact that we had documentary proof of fraud and cheating by the other party, and we let it slide by because I don't want to affect another entrepreneur, wanted to give him another chance. Right. Today I put it all out. In fact, I am going to ensure that my name is clear to the last bit, whether it be siphoning charges or whether charges of harassing a person I've never met or knew existed before. I am going to ensure that I get my name cleared, and if I have to go to the courts for that, I will be going.
Okay, like I said, of course, the investigations will carry on, and the law will now decide what has happened. Both sides, of course, very different versions of the story, but that, as the court said, is basically a dispute between two businessmen. Now, one last question, Yogi, before we let you go. How did you explain it to your children? You have very young children. It must have been a very difficult time, I can imagine, for your family. Your wife, Rupal, I know for certain, has this also been a huge support?
Yes, I mean, see, the biggest pillars for me were my family, my wife, my sister. They really fought it out. They battled across all fronts, personal, outside, and the extended family. My kids were with my in-laws. It's, to be very frank with you, we have still not told them that daddy was not there for 32 days because he was in jail. We just told that there is some false complaint against him. He is helping the police with investigation. I just want all this to settle down so I can sit and tell them that this is what happened, but don't worry, when you want to build your business, India will have better laws.
Well, that's a very optimistic note to end on. When you want to build your business, you will tell your children India will have better laws. Like I said, the law will now investigate, and let's see where this case goes. But thanks so much for your time, Yogendra Vasupal. Thanks very much for speaking to us.